Linux. Okay. There is a PPT. There are so many things about the Linux, guys. Okay. So actually, next important one, whatever it is, the topic it is, important thing is Linux. Very important thing is from today onwards, next 5 days, it is a full day classes, and we have a almost like a 3 days maximum for a complete Linux. Okay, 3 to 4 days, 3.5 days. Actually, it is 3 days class only, but we are taking little extra time, so 3.5 or 4 days maximum you have to complete it. Okay, so that is a very important. So Linux, guys, thoroughly learn, because of I've seen 8th batch, 9th batch, mainly 9th and 10th batches. They're asking like 8th, 9th, 10th. So I've seen so most of the questions from Linux is also there. I'm not talking only Linux is there asking. I'm telling Linux also they start giving importance. I don't know, maybe Linux projects are there. I don't know, but Linux questions are there. Okay. So next one is compulsory, guys. So networking is also very important. So compulsory networking, go through the networking basics. Everybody. So those who are not attend the networking, so maybe we need a 1 day or half day at least to go to the overview. Okay. So overview. So then with that overview also you can able to go through the networking. Okay. So networking, Windows, basics, Windows servers, what is the HCP, what is DNS, what is Active Directory, what is group policy. These are the main questions from the Windows. So Windows 10, what is Windows 10, what is Windows 10 practicals you done, what are the features, editions and all basic questions. But networking, there are so many things are there. Any corner like IPv4, IPv6, cross questions like TCP, UDP. Okay, what is connected, not connected. Okay, like that. So there is a questions also there. In Linux also the commands also important. Maybe today and maybe tomorrow you will get a doubt. That is, sir, how to remember all the commands. So guys, I'm telling, once your at least 10-20% of commands are completed, it means from tomorrow onwards. For tomorrow, you do one thing, just take separate one sheet of paper. Okay, so take a paper, write down all the commands what you learned. Okay, at least write down only commands. Then you can recollect it. So what is the use, what are the years, cross verifying like that. Okay, so today morning I'll tell about the basics of Linux. Now we'll take a basics of Linux. Then I will show you how to install the Linux. Okay. So in the afternoon, so we'll take a little bit like normally we got a 1 hour, 1.5 hour time. So we'll take a 2 hours break. Complete the installation before you coming back. Okay. So next one is in the afternoon I will start telling commands, all the commands. Okay. So all the commands. So one by one command. So I will give you, I will tell you like a 15 minutes or 20 minutes or half an hour. So once it is completed, I will give you 10-15 minutes or 10 minutes break. Means you have to, if you can able to pause it, you can practice it. Otherwise, at night, sit in your room and complete all the practicals. But if you don't install a Linux machine and you say like it's for this reason, that reason and all, that is not at all good, guys. You cannot complete it. Okay, you will forget, you will get confused. You need a lot of practice to remember the Linux commands. It is very simple and as well as it's difficult to remember if you don't practice. Okay, I started a recording, everything is recorded. So first one is important one is download the Linux. Guys, there's a different type of Linux things are there. Why I'm telling download first only? Yeah, I will tell first how to install first. Okay, good now. So morning. Which is better? Okay, there's a different type of Linux distributions are there. So one of the distribution is, so I'm not able to decide in what to do. So one of the distribution is CentOS. Not only CentOS, guys, CentOS is like a Red Hat Enterprise Linux. That's why I prefer to use the CentOS. Okay, and also there is a certain distributions are there. Ubuntu, Fedora, Debain. VirtualBox is not that one. Okay. So Red Hat Enterprise Linux, OpenSUSE, just a Linux. Okay. Arch Linux, LinuxMint. Okay, like this. This is a scientific Linux. They put all the related to the Linux thing on this. It's not always everything is showing here is not Linux. Okay, so compulsory you must know what it is there. Okay, so different type of Linux operating systems are there. Yeah, Windows is a one-to-one operating system, either Windows 8, Windows 10, or maybe Windows 11, or maybe a server 2016 or 19 or 22, whatever it is. There is a year by year same Windows type with a certain features additionally it is going to release. Yeah, I got to remember what to teach. Okay, so what to start? Not a download. Okay, so different type of Linux in the market, but in my Windows is not like different type of Windows. It is Windows desktops, Windows server. Only two types. Windows desktop, Windows servers. So certain years, like a 3 to 4 years, there is a new type of Windows is releasing, like a Windows XP is there earlier, Windows Vista release, Windows 7 release, Windows 8, Windows 8.1, Windows 10, Windows 11 is also released into the market. As well as in the servers also ENT 2000, 2003, 2008, 2008 R2, 2012, 2012 R2, 2016, 19 and 22 is also released into the market. So what is the difference? So what is this kind of stuff? Like a one version to another version it is releasing. There is a future wise differences there. But in the Linux, what I show the names is Ubuntu or SUSE, OpenSUSE, Debain, FreeBSD, or like that. Any Red Hat Enterprise Linux, Oracle Enterprise Linux, CentOS. These are all different type of distributions, different organizations, not in a single organization. Microsoft Windows Desktop or Windows Server belongs to only one single organization, that is called a Microsoft only. Okay, Microsoft Windows Desktop type of system, operating system, server related operating systems, both are belongs to only one umbrella, that is called a Microsoft organization. So Windows operating system is a proprietary of Microsoft. Okay, so Microsoft is a whole owner of the Windows operating system, and you cannot alter the Windows operating system. You cannot alter the Windows operating. Just we take it, we pay for the license, and we use it. But it is you purchase it, or you pay for the license for usage, and you start using it. So that is a Windows operating system. You don't alter the operating system. You don't go to kernel and you don't change the shell version. Whatever it is given, we use it those directly. And it is very user friendly because of we are all using a Windows operating system, because you don't require any training for that one. In a certain people only certain class of people, or certain people, not a class of people, you should not say. Certain people, those who are having a money, those who want a risk-free kind of people, use a Mac computers. But in the whole world, if you take the whole world, the largely sell out computers are operating system wise Windows operating system only. So that is the first thing. Okay, so Linux is another hand. So guys, whenever it is comes to the Linux, lot of people are having a doubts in the mind, that is, sir, Linux is this one, Linux is that one, and Linux is not an operating system. It is simply say a kernel. It is not even an operating system. Linux is not even an operating system. Linux is simply a kernel. Okay, so different type of operating systems came with the Linux OS we are calling like a CentOS, or a Red Hat Enterprise Linux, or Oracle Enterprise Linux, or Fedora, Ubuntu desktop, Ubuntu servers. So LinuxMint, scientific Linux. So these are all the Linux distributions, how come you say? So those different organizations take the Linux and take the Linux kernel. So Linux, they develop the Linux as per their requirement or as per the public requirement, as per their want. So then they develop it, they start using it. Okay, they start using it. Okay, and then again they call for a community, different type of developers, and they start able to give to organizations like a Red Hat. So largely used Linux distribution is Red Hat Enterprise Linux in the industries. So what is the use? The main aim of this Linux distributions are, first of all, there are open source, and most of the Linux distributions, most means almost all are free editions. Free editions, no need to pay, no need to register also. Of course, Red Hat Enterprise Linux, you have to register. Oracle Enterprise Linux, you have to register. But most of the Linux, you don't need to register. Almost all Linux distributions are free. Free means no need to pay anything. And Linux means mainly used for a server purpose only, not for just a desktop purpose. Okay, not for a desktop. There is desktop variations are there, like a Ubuntu desktop, LinuxMint. These are an example for a desktop. Okay, but not completely. So very less people use it for a desktop purpose. Okay, of course, like you want to buy a laptop or a desktop, and you don't want to pay for a Windows operating system. Now, some people will take a Windows OS from like a download and install, and they do cracking kind of stuff. So that is not good at all nowadays. Okay, because of Microsoft complete controlling now. Okay, so like you don't want to pay, like you don't want to pay, or you cannot able to pay, you don't want to pay, or you can't able to pay the amount. So then you need a desktop environment. So you need a desktop environment. So you can go like this. Okay, like a Ubuntu. You want a Linux desktops. You want to see like one of my student, very old student, very other organization. He wanted to install a Red Hat Enterprise Linux 7 version in the laptop by formatting entire his OS Windows 8. He removed Windows 8. He installed a Red Hat Enterprise Linux 7. And he wanted to install a VLC player for playing his videos. It's not doing that business. Okay. So he got a lot of all. So point is, it is not suitable for a, this is for a server. In the server, you cannot use as a normal desktops. So better to use a desktop based OS. If you really a fan of the Linux, you must go to Ubuntu desktop, LinuxMint, Mint. Okay, like that. So LinuxMint is I am not much go to this kind of stuff anyway, because that is only personal usage only, not for teaching, nothing. Okay, they're not a stabilized or authorized kind of stuff. Yeah, of course, Ubuntu is mostly widely used, one of the widely used Linux based desktop environment. Okay, Linux based desktop environment. Guys, some people want to mix the Ubuntu desktop with a Windows operating system. Means they have Windows 10 or Windows 7 or Windows 8. They install Ubuntu like an application inside, and they maybe get a problem sometimes. Sometimes they don't get a problem. Sometimes they will get a confusion. Okay, so don't do like this. Nowadays we have a virtual machines. You can, if you want to use it, you can do it in a virtual machines, virtual kind of stuff. Okay. Okay, so what is the thing? So next one is less hardware footprint. Footprint means less hardware requirements of the Linux. Okay, so you don't require a 4 GB, 8 GB RAMs and all kind of stuff. To run a Linux, you can not. Linux is usually in a GUI and a CLI. Powerful CLI is there. Okay, CLI is more powerful than a GUI. What is CLI? What is CLI? Anyone? What is GUI?
Command line interface.
Very good.
User interface.
Graphical user interface, command line interface. So Linux, in a certain Linuxes, you will get a GUI and CUI or GUI or a CLI kind of stuff. So CLI is the most common. CLI is the most common than a GUI based operating system. And you have a CLI and GUI. Both are there in single operating system. For example, I had Enterprise Linux, CentOS. Okay, so you will get a CLI, GUI kind of stuff. So for example, you take Ubuntu desktop. The main name is desktop means GUI type of interface you are expecting. So you will get a GUI interface and as well as CLI options are there. More CLI, powerful CLI is there. So Linux is more powerful in the CLI, less in the GUI. Okay, that is very important, guys. Compulsory commands you should learn. That's it. Okay, there is no other choices. Okay, less hardware footprint. So why less hardware footprint, less hardware requirement of Linux is because of GUI is suppressed. So GUI is not important. In Windows, GUI is very important. So everything icons, every application running, everything we can able to see, view, desktop related uh, things should be there in the application building. Okay, so application is simply a data. Okay, but we are now whenever you are using or when you are installing itself, so it's not simply the next one by 1 2 3 4. It is not going like that, right? It's a screen. You have to press the next button and select option, next button, select option like that, and finally finish install. It is going to show you something installation process. Once it is installed, installation done, or it is asking for restart or any some options. Then once installation done, desktop icons are there. So you have to access with a desktop icon or a start menu icon. So then there is environment. So totally application for installation and after installation, the graphical thing is very important. And voice itself is a graphical thing. So more hardware requirement, more CPU power is required, more RAM is required, more disk space is required by Windows operating system. In a Linux, it's a more CLI. So whatever you install an application, and there is no not required of a GUI kind of stuff. Simply put a command, it will install the application, and once it is installed, then you can directly use the application using a CLI commands. Okay, GUI is just an optional or a very less part only GUI. So that's why less hardware footprint. It means don't require more hardware for running a Linux operating system. So guys, keep in that those few things in the Linux manner. And I didn't tell a Linux story, but just I am telling about the basic things of a Linux. First, Linux is main aim of Linux is server, not for a basically desktop. But there is a desktop environments are there. Okay, Linux desktop environments are there like this. I have a doubt in the ReactOS, so keep it in. Okay, this is a check-in manner. So don't. I'm not. I have to check it once again. What is the base of that one? Okay, desktops. It is for a servers. Okay, I'm not writing a server. Yeah, I will put a example servers. No. Okay, like this. Yeah, it is a open source. Linux is open source. That is a first important point. When you say Linux means it's a open source. Lot of people think open source means it is a free. It's not required. Free is different, guys, and open source is different. Okay, open source is different and free is different. So both are two words. No, both are different things. Okay, free means you don't need to pay anything, just you take it and use it. That is called a free, right? So you're taking and using, like a you what is it? Okay. Okay. What is a open source? Is we can say like the source code. Okay, you write a program. My mind is diverted. Okay. So you write a program. Yeah, someone is trying to say something. Okay. You build an application. You build a application. For application, you write a program, right? And you may not see once you build an application and give it to a customer. Customer don't know what program you written. What program you written? Customer don't know. So just he install the application and start using. Very simple, right? So you build an application and you put a package in it. So simply .exe file, customer take in the file and double click installed, completed. Now you start using. Okay, so that is some application. See, look here. See, this is an application. This is an application. This is an application. I don't know what is the thing written inside. I don't know what program code is written in that particular application, right? So that is just a closed one. What is a open source? It means the program written inside of that operating system or an application or software is open, means anybody can able to see what written in the Linux operating system. So that is called a open source. Mostly Linux is free distribution only. Free only. Free means most of the Linux editions you need to pay for that one. Okay, sometimes okay, some require registration. Some require for a registration. For example, Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Okay, Red Hat Enterprise Linux. That is required a registration. Okay. CentOS not required registration. So that's why I'm using a CentOS, because it's not required any registration. Registration means you have to give your name, email ID, password, your company name or a company mail ID, like that also it may be required. Okay. How many are there? So many SUSE, Open SUSE. So many Linux distributions are there. Some are servers, some are desktops. These are the basically a desktops. Compulsory verify what are the desktop Linux operating system, less hardware footprint. GUI CLI based operating systems are there. Okay, GUI and CLI based operating system. Okay, CLI is more powerful than GUI. Open source, mostly free. Most of the Linux distributions are free distributions only, no need to pay. Some Linux require registration, so you have to register with a email ID kind of stuff. Okay, so keeping these things in the mind. Okay. Of course, Linux based features also there. Okay, Linux features are there, like a security.
In some Linux, you just tell me. what kind of other Linux require registration? Means types.
Yeah, Red Hat Enterprise Linux required a registration. Sorry, Oracle Enterprise Linux. If you are using Oracle Enterprise Linux, compulsory registration. Registration is not a compulsory, means if you don't do it, it won't work kind of stuff. It is not like that. It asking you to register with us. So if you register, so you will get a repositories from there, like you want to update related repositories, application repositories, so you can able to get it. So that is only for registration. Actually,
No, if asked in an interview, what kind of registration, what kind of Linux types of registration needs?
no. You install operating system. Okay, once you install operating system, it will ask you your email ID, user ID, username, email ID of your organization or personal email. Also, sometimes it will accept, because it's a normal user don't use Linux. Okay, normal user Red Hat. I am user for my personal computing purpose, so I don't download Red Hat Enterprise Linux kind of stuff, right? So okay, so for my computing purpose, if I'm an organization, or maybe I want to put a server, my web server like that, I want to put it for myself or for my organization. So then definitely registration is required for support. Okay, what is the purpose of this registration? Okay, for giving support, like you got some issues, so for support. Okay, they will understand what is the problem. Okay, so like if you don't register with them, so there is no support. That's very simple, and even a support is very less. Okay, some of operating system asking you to register with them, so with a simple email ID and password, that's it, enough. Okay, so if you register, the registration is for a support, update OS. Okay, OS and applications, and yum repositories. Like he can able to install applications. The yum repository, remote repositories, not there are a lot of things are there. Remote repositories kind of stuff. Remote repository means what I'm saying is, I want to install some application, means there is a HTTP application, HTTPD I want to install, NTPD I want to install, FTP I want to install, or like that. So when I try to install it, so I need that related package and the supporting packages for that package also. Okay, the dependency of the related application and dependencies of applications required. So on alone it is very difficult to install those things. So what I will do, so Red Hat Enterprise Linux kind of stuff, or Oracle Enterprise Linux, so they will give you that directly, the link. Okay, so we have a application, so when you want to install, so we'll give you that related information or a application directly to you. Okay, so because of this little complexity, because of this small little complexity, that's why I'm using CentOS. CentOS, you don't require to register anyway. So even it is asking sometimes like register with us, like click yes, that's it, that's enough. So you don't need to do anything, and it is already provide a CentOS related Fedora related the repositories. So I will show you that one. So one by one day only you will understand. The security, it will provide a security, file level security, user level security. File level security, user level security, network level security, it will provide. Okay, so some people believe it is a virus free. Okay, why virus free is also important, guys. .exe files,
Sir, compared to Windows, Linux is why is Linux best, sir?
compared to Windows. Why Linux is
Best.
best? I don't go with the best kind of stuff, best or waste kind of stuff, but that's a very good question because that is also the most asking question. Okay, so here it is. For myself, in my very personal experience, this is I like. Second one is this is I like, and very likely this one, right? Because even whether source code is open not open, I don't do anything because I don't know how to program the Linux first of all. Okay, only shell scripting I know, but kernel scripting kind of stuff I don't know. So that's a no problem. My personally say it is less hardware footprint. Okay, and mainly it is CLI, and if anywhere you can able to access. Okay, another one is multi-user. Multi-user, not only multiple users, means user 1, user 2, user 3, but also user 1 can able to log in 5 times in a different windows, differently. Okay, so multi-user, easy remote access. So mainly SSH protocol, remote access with the XSH protocol. Okay, that is another best thing in a Linux. Okay, so multi-user. Okay, multi-user multitasking. It is a multi-user and multitasking. Just it is like an introduction only. Okay, it is multi-user multitasking, remote access. Very good. Remote access. So I have a Linux in the server room or somewhere in my network. I can access through SSH protocol. I can access it through SSH protocol. Okay, so it's not about a virus free or a security kind of stuff. So mainly it is, this is remote access, less hardware footprint. For me, my personally I'm telling for myself, what I seen, what I know about a Linux. Okay, like that. CLI, because SSH is CLI tool. So CLI is very like I like this like that. And no need to pay kind of stuff. So I will give you one best example that a hardware footprint kind of stuff. Saurabh, mute. Okay. So why I'm telling that why I favor to that less hardware footprint, guys, look at here. W10 DevOps, W DevOps, CTS DevOps, CTS 3 DevOps. This is 5 DevOps. This is 3 DevOps. So what happened in these machines? What happened? I put initially 2 GB RAM, then I increase it to 4 GB, then increase it to 6 GB, because in a DevOps, this is not a DevOps, it is a Oracle. Even for Oracle also, I like few things. Okay, for example, DevOps purpose, we have to install few things. One is Git, another one is Jenkins. For that one, Java JDK. Java means not JRE, JDK you have to install. Maven. Okay, as you know Maven, I don't know Ant, but I know I like Maven thing. Okay, Maven is both build and as well as a test tool, so that's why I go to Maven. Next, I very like that's a Docker kind of stuff. Okay, any 1 or 2 things if required, then I will add it. Okay, so what happened when I use these things in Windows operating system easily in a Windows 10? So initially I use a Windows 10 for installing and running these applications. So I started with a 2 GB RAM, then increased to 4 GB RAM, then increased to 60 GB RAM. So what is my experience in this one? Windows 10 is keep updating itself because I connected to internet. Windows 10 virtual machine is connected to internet and Windows 10 is getting updated and it is very slow when it is updates. Second hand, You have to install Git. Git is very easy, and that too in Windows 10, Git is very fantastic, no problem. Jenkins, yes, very good. In Windows 10, Jenkins runs fantastic, very good. Java installation is also very good. Maven is also very good. Docker, not very good. Docker, okay, result is good, but Docker having lot of conditions, lot of condition. You should not use Windows 10 Home. Home it won't work. Pro it will work. Okay, so enterprise it will work, and that built version is there. Windows 10 built version. So Docker don't support old built versions. It support latest Windows 10 built versions only. Okay, and next one is RAM consumption by these things. RAM is important, right? So RAM is important, and as well as I don't leave like that only. I install Python. Okay. It's not much take. Python, Java won't take more RAM capacity because it won't run always, right? So, but I install a Python, and next one is XAMPP. Okay, not a lamp, it is XAMPP. XAMPP. XAMPP means Apache Web Server. Apache HTTPD will be there, and Tomcat. Okay, mysql. Okay, mysql, and another one is also there, that is php. Php also support. So I install this one for some project related one, and maybe when you're using Java, Python kind of stuff, you need a IDEs, right? Like a eclipse. If I run a parallel eclipse or a pycharm, maybe Apache netbeams. So one or two things. So at least Eclipse, think about Eclipse. Running a background as a Tomcat or a web server or MySQL. Okay, like this. See, these many things when I install automatically, system is fully hang up. Okay, even though forget about forget about this thing only. So all these things, it will take lot of burden on it. So what I done, Linux, and I took a CentOS mainly. Okay, I like CentOS. And minimal means it runs with it's run very good with the 1 GB RAM. You don't go with 2 GB RAM also. It runs with a 1 GB RAM. Okay, so 512 is more than enough RAM. I'm talking. Disk space. It will take maximum 2 GB disk space. 2 GB disk space, not RAM. I'm talking. Okay, hard disk is around 2 GB. Okay, think about 2 to 5 GB maximum. You are downloading an application and all. After installing all this application, think about, so 2 to 5 GB total. Okay, so maximum. Okay, maximum not more than 5 GB or 5 to 10 GB, even though, but this will take Windows 10 alone, it will take more than 15-16 GB. Windows 10 alone, it will take more than 15-16 GB. And once you install all these things with the files, it is like a 30 GB machine. 30 GB it will take. Now it is taking very less. 5 GB or maybe a 10 GB. Think about it. So a lot of things you create, a lot of projects you created. Minimal is CLI. Minimal means so only CLI, core CLI. So you cannot install anything because I have no problem. In my desktop, I already having this Eclipse kind of stuff. So I'll use my desktop for these things, no problem. This I can able to install in my in a Linux, no problem. Docker runs very good way. Maven is also we install in a Linux only. Java, Jenkins, Git. So what I do in my physical machine, Jenkins Web Access. The Jenkins is Web Access only. So Jenkins Web Access. Okay. GitHub. GitHub. That is also website access only. Nothing. Okay. Run putty for connecting Linux with a SSH protocol. Only these things I need in my physical desktop, and I run this Linux in my virtual machine. Happy? So look at this one. I'll show you this is DevOps Linux. This is Linux based machine. Just I put a 2 GB just for myself, just for fun. This is, I created this virtual machine for Bash 7, so I will get a chance to show you practical for a Bash 7 Linux. It is skipped. It is skipped. From that 7, 8, 9, and 10, I didn't get a chance to teach the DevOps kind of stuff. Of course, for 11, 10, 12 also. Okay. Again, practicals are unable to show you, but things are this. So whenever got this Linux based DevOps thing, very good. See, that is my experience with the Linux and Windows. It does not mean Linux is very good, Windows is very bad. There's no bad, no good kind of guys. But this is the benefits if you are compared to Linux and Windows. What is the comparison? Hardware footprint. You don't require more hardware for running a Linux. Okay. And next one is you must know CLI, so compulsory you should know how to deal with it. And open source and free. Okay. So mostly free means it's a free. Open source and free. Guys, in interview don't say mostly free. So then they will get it out. So what is meaning of mostly free? Means most of the operating system, no need to register, no need to do anything. You can directly download and use it. That's the mostly free means. Free means like that. Okay. Some are required registration, some are maybe required a payment, like maybe you have to pay $10 like that. Okay, so that is. So some require registrations. Okay, so even though no need to specify in an interview, but for our understanding, some registration means once you install operating system, you may it asking for a registration with your user name and email ID passwords. So what is the purpose of registration is for supporting OS, supporting, for example, you have a problem with your operating system, okay, problem with the updates and applications, M repositories. So this registration is helpful. Support is very less, guys. Linux mainly in the Linux. Support is very less or no support. Very less or no support. Okay, so mostly no support. Mostly no support. Okay, you have to pay for a support. In Windows, support is there. Microsoft is an organization, right? Microsoft are an organization, and you are not altering anything. So simply you are using an operating system as it is. So if you have any problem, you can call to Microsoft and ask for why it is not working and all. Okay, so remote access is with a SSH and telnet, but mostly we use a SSH. Okay, security we can able to give like a file level security, user level security kind of stuff. Virus free. Why virus free means most of the Windows based viruses means the virus is created for a okay, viruses are most of the viruses are created for Windows attacks only, and because of Windows is a self-executable environment, means you click on something and there is an executable code automatically executes without telling. Okay, so execution is directly a script for that one. In Linux, we don't do it because Linux is a server. So whatsoever it is into the Linux machine, we don't execute everything. We don't execute everything. Okay, simply we look at it. It's working. Okay, good. Then we'll go to the next one. So that is in a Linux. Okay, so in a Linux, we don't execute everything. So we know what we are doing mainly. Okay, next. Windows is a user friendly, Linux is hard friendly, guys. Compulsory, required, trained professionals. Linux is not like that. So Linux for Windows 10, for example, you take a Windows 10, if you have a very basic knowledge, like 1 or 2 days of class, you can start using a Windows 10. It is not required, just basic computing, just open it, what you want, browser and all. You go to Internet Center 2 days, you will learn everything. Okay, but Linux is not like that, guys. It's keep learning. Even though after 10 years of experience, there is a big question, that is, what is the use of this particular command? There's still new things will be there. Very simple, say Linux is like a washing. Okay. Someone is trying to speak and unable to hear. I'm not able to hear. So whenever again they want to speak, they will speak. Okay, so guys, so trained professionals are required for a operating Linux machine, because if you do mistake in the Linux, no one knows what is the mistake. In Windows, it's okay. So in a Linux, if you do mistake, it is a very big mistake. Okay, so that is a thing. Okay, in Linux also, as a fresher, usually you learn only Linux and you went to an interview and you got a job, and mostly they don't let you to touch in the Linux anything, just only for monitoring kind of stuff only it is there. Okay, but for you it is a mixed kind of stuff, so you may have a projects related to the Linux also, Linux environment related. So compulsory is Linux. Linux is the compulsory. Okay, so this is just my personal thing about what I observed from the Windows to Linux. Is basically Linux is running very fastly, very installing very fastly, running these applications very good way in the Linux machine, but it is very slow in the Windows 10 machines because of it consumes more resources. So less hardware footprint means just for our understanding, I told this thing, guys. Understanding of Linux. Guys, understand Linux means the basic introduction. Just about a Linux part. And small thing is about a Linux is there. Once you tell, okay, this is, I will tell and I will give you a break first. Guys, are you okay or not? So no one is speaking anything.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Guys, understand. Actually, I should speak about operating system first, but I am not talking about it. So I will tell that. So few things you must remember, guys. Unix is an operating. Yeah, that's it. Take a break for 10 minutes. Okay. So it is already 11:40. So take a break for 10 minutes or 15 minutes. Okay. Be back at 11:50 actually. So or 11:55. Okay. So as last part, I already told how to download CentOS. Already I sent a message. Maybe if you are missing that one, I will tell. So put a CentOS in a Google. Go to CentOS project like CentOS org. This is the downloads link. So otherwise go to centos.org. Okay. So this is CentOS. This is a 7 version. Don't download 8 version. Okay. This is a 7 version. Go to x86-64 and any link you can go. So if you go to this link, for example, download this one. Guys, if you have a very less RAM capacities, or a less bandwidth capacity, okay, like you can't download 4 GB file now, then you can download this one also. But this is minimal, only CLI is available. Okay, normally I will teach on this one only. Normally I will teach on this one only. Okay, I will teach this one only. But last time people are not okay completely. All people are not okay with the minimal. So then I want to put like this. Okay, so download this one or this one. If you want to download both the things, that is also okay. So like that. Okay, this is the one. So take a break. So if you already download, no need to download. Just I'm sharing a link. I'm telling a name like this. WhatsApp already I sent that one. Okay, take a break. Be back. I'm getting little headache. That's why I given a break.